Hi there, this is Dr. Tammi Stewart from PT2Excel to talk to you about closing your bowls when you're overhead lifting. This is going to protect your back. What in the world do I mean by closing your bowls? So we have two bowls in our body, the bottom of our rib cage and the top of our pelvis. So if they're aligned well and they're closed, kind of picture it like this, then your core is engaged properly and you're protecting your back when you lift. I mean, always, but especially when you lift, it's super important. When you're lifting heavy and you're putting it above your head, that's a lot to ask of your whole body, but especially your spine, if it's not stabilized and well stacked. And what I mean by that is that if your bowls are closed and they're stacked, they're very stable. But if you start to tilt, pelvis tilts back, ribs tilt forward, you could also hear this called a rib flare. Now you cannot possibly engage your core properly, and so you cannot possibly protect your back when you're lifting. So for instance, I'm pretty well stacked here. This is not well stacked. You can see how if I have a bowl here and a bowl there, my bowls are closed here, my bowls are open towards the front. They're kind of like, meh, and that's not what we want. That's a lot of compression force in the back. So we especially don't want that when we're overhead lifting. But a lot of times we see either thoracic tightness, so like that mid-back doesn't want to extend properly, or the shoulders just don't want to go. So if you're trying to overhead lift, you've got something above your head and you're tight and you can't quite get where you want to be, and let's say you're stuck kind of here-ish, a really common compensation is to open those bowls, tilt that pelvis, so that you get the extension from your low back, which is really not what we want. That's just asking for a disc injury. So overhead, you want to make sure that we don't go here. We tuck our tail, close the bowls. You can see how my spine is much more stable. It's much better stacked here. Okay, and if you can't get there, let's work on that. Let's get the shoulders more stable. Let's get the spine extending properly through the mid-back, through that thoracic spine, and take the force, the compression force, out of the low back, because we do not need the low back injuries. I don't know if that's anybody else's idea of a good time. It's not mine. I'm happy to help if that does happen to you, but I really, really, really don't want it to. So make sure that you're keeping those bowls closed. You know, pull that belly button inwards towards your spine, pull the ribs down, tuck the tail if you need to. Now there is an overdoing it here, because we're not looking for this while you're trying to lift either. That's not going to work. So we don't want this and we don't want this. We want well stacked overhead lifting. Even throughout your squat, you've got to keep those ribs down, keep your bowls closed, and don't get hurt. Thanks. Feel free to like, subscribe, share, follow, all the things. Reach out if you have any questions.